The true about eating eggs. Are eggs helpful to our health, or a cause of heart disease? If there was such a thing as a perfect food, eggs would be a contender. They're readily available, easy to cook, affordable, and packed with protein. The egg is meant to be something that has all the right ingredients to grow an organism, so obviously it's very nutrient-dense, says Christopher Blesso, Associate Professor of Nutritional Science at the University of Connecticut in the U.S. Eating eggs alongside other food can help our bodies absorb more vitamins too. For example, one study found that adding an egg to salad can increase how much vitamin we get from the salad. For decades, eating eggs has also been controversial due to their high cholesterol content, which some studies have linked to an increased risk of heart disease. One egg yolk contains around 185 milligrams of cholesterol, which is more than half of the 300 milligrams daily amount of cholesterol that the U.S. dietary guidelines recommended until recently. Does that mean eggs, rather than being an ideal food, might actually be doing us harm? Cholesterol, a yellowish fat produced in our liver and intestines, can be found in every one of our body's cells. We normally think of it as bad. But cholesterol is a crucial building block in our cell membranes. It also is needed for the body to make vitamin D, and the hormones testosterone and estrogen. We produce all the cholesterol we need on our own, but it's also found in animal produce we consume, including beef, prawns and eggs, as well as cheese and butter. Cholesterol is transported around our body by lipoprotein molecules in the blood. Every person has a different combination of various types of lipoproteins, and our individual makeup plays a role in determining our risk of developing heart disease. Low-density lipoprotein, LDL, cholesterol referred to as bad cholesterol is transported from the liver to arteries and body tissues. Researchers say that this can result in a buildup of cholesterol in the blood vessels and increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. But researchers haven't definitively linked consumption of cholesterol to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. As a result, U.S. dietary guidelines no longer have a cholesterol restriction, nor does the UK. Instead, emphasis is placed on limiting how much saturated fat we consume, which can increase the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Foods containing trans fats, in particular, increase our LDL levels. Although some trans fats occur naturally in animal products, most are made artificially and are found in highest levels in margarines, snacks, and some deep-fried and baked foods, such as pastry, donuts and cake. Meanwhile, along with prawns, eggs are the only food high in cholesterol that are low in saturated fat. While the cholesterol in eggs is much higher than in meat and other animal products, saturated fat increases blood cholesterol. This has been demonstrated by lots of studies for many years, says Maria Luz Fernandez, professor of nutritional sciences at the University of Connecticut in the U.S., whose latest research found no relationship between eating eggs and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. The discussion on the health effects of eggs has shifted partly because our bodies can compensate for the cholesterol we consume. There are systems in place so that, for most people, dietary cholesterol isn't a problem, says Elizabeth Johnson, Research Associate Professor of Nutritional Sciences at Tufts University in Boston, U.S. In a 2015 review of 40 studies, Johnson and a team of researchers couldn't find any conclusive evidence on the relationship between dietary cholesterol and heart disease. Humans have good regulation when consuming dietary cholesterol, and will make less cholesterol themselves, she says. And when it comes to eggs, cholesterol may pose even less of a health risk. When cholesterol is oxidized, it may be more inflammatory, and there are all kinds of antioxidants in eggs that protect it from being oxidized. Also, some cholesterol may actually be good for us. High-density lipoprotein, HDL, cholesterol travels to the liver where it's broken down and removed from the body. HDL is thought to have a protective effect against cardiovascular disease by preventing cholesterol from building up in the blood. People should be concerned about cholesterol that circulates in their blood, which is the one that leads to heart disease. What matters is the ratio of HDL to LDL in our bodies, as elevated HDL counteracts the effects of LDL. However, while most of us are able to buffer the cholesterol we consume with the cholesterol we synthesize in our livers, around a third of US will experience an increase in blood cholesterol by 10% to 15% after consuming it. Trials have found that lean and healthy people are more likely to see an increase in LDL after eating eggs. Those who are overweight, obese or diabetic will see a smaller increase in LDL and more HDL molecules. So, if you're healthier to begin with, eggs potentially could have a more negative effect than if you're overweight, but if you're healthier, you're also more likely to have good HDL levels, so an increase in LDL probably isn't very harmful. Research published earlier this year, though, challenged the recent consensus that eggs pose no harm to our health. Researchers looked at data from 30,000 adults followed for an average of 17 years and found that each additional half an egg per day was significantly linked to a higher risk of heart disease and death. They found that, for every additional 300 milligrams cholesterol person consumed, regardless of the food it came from, they had a 17% increased risk of cardiovascular disease and 18% increased risk of all-cause mortality. We also found that each half egg per day led to a 6% increased risk of heart disease and 8% increased risk of mortality. Despite the study being one of the largest of its kind to address this specific relationship between eggs and heart disease, it was observational, giving no indication of cause and effect. It also relied upon a single set of self-reported data. Participants were asked what they ate over the previous month or year, then followed up their health outcomes for up to 31 years. This means the researchers only got a single snapshot of what the participants were eating, even though our diets can change over time. This study conflicts with past results. Numerous studies suggest eggs are good for heart health. One previous analysis of 500,000 adults in China, published in 2018, even found the exact opposite: egg consumption was associated with lower risk of heart disease. Those who ate eggs every day had an 18% lower risk of death from heart disease and 28% lower risk of stroke death compared to those who didn't eat eggs. Like the previous study, it too was observational, meaning it's impossible to tease out cause and effect. Do healthier adults in China simply eat more eggs, or do the eggs make them healthier? That, of course, may be a big part of the confusion. One way is through a compound in eggs called choline, which may help protect us against Alzheimer's disease. It also protects the liver. Find out if eggs are a good way of stopping a hangover. Research measuring egg consumption in TMAO has so far only found transient increases in TMAO. However, TMAO is measured as a marker for heart disease only at a baseline level, which can be detected when people are fasting. Thanks for watching. If you find that interesting, then hit that like button, and don't forget to share and subscribe to our channel for more informative videos.